Alright Cardu, buckle up, because today we're diving into a fruit so niche, so obscure, so regionally locked that even hardcore botanists pause and go, bro, what even is that? The Nyii fruit is one of those hyper-local, tradition-rooted, nobody's ever heard of it unless you're from their cultural gems. It belongs to that mystical category of fruits that don't show up in supermarkets, don't trend on TikTok, and definitely don't have a boogie smoothie named after them, yet it has generations of heritage behind it. Think of this episode as your passport to a fruit that lives quietly in the shadows of rural landscapes, thriving in ecosystems untouched by commercial farming. And you know how we roll, Kral, we're gonna dig deep, break it down, and make this tiny fruit feel like it walked straight out of a National Geographic documentary. Let's crack it open. The Nyii fruit is a traditional, small, wild-growing berry-like fruit native to certain regions of Central and Eastern Africa, where it is known primarily through local languages and ethnobotanical traditions. Its exact species varies depending on the region, because Nyii is often a vernacular umbrella term used to describe several similar wild-growing fruits rather than a single, strictly defined botanical species. In rural communities, Nyii trees grow naturally in woodlands, savannas, or transitional forest zones, thriving with minimal human intervention. The fruit itself is usually small, round to slightly oval, ranging in color from pale green to yellow-orange or red as it ripens. Its skin is thin, with a soft, juicy interior that can be mildly sweet, tangy, or sometimes slightly astringent depending on the species and maturity. Local populations often consume it fresh off the tree, but in some areas, the Nyii fruit is collected seasonally and used in traditional snacks, fermented drinks, natural sweeteners, or sun-dried preserves. Culturally, Nyii holds significance as a foraged fruit tied to childhood memories, seasonal gatherings, and local ecological knowledge. Elders often teach younger generations how to identify the edible varieties versus the mildly irritating ones, making Nyii part of intergenerational food heritage. Nutritionally, these fruits typically contain natural antioxidants, minerals, and small amounts of vitamin C, nothing that will turn you into a superhero, but definitely more wholesome than a soda. Because Nyii is not commercialized, it remains largely undocumented in global literature. No large-scale plantations, no export markets, no QR-coded packaging. Its survival depends entirely on local biodiversity, environmental conditions, and community use. This makes it a perfect example of how many edible species still exist outside mainstream agriculture, hidden treasures with cultural value but zero modern marketing. In short, Nyii isn't just a fruit, it's a slice of local identity wrapped in a tiny seasonal bite.